Understanding compassion, the essence of a kind heart. What is true compassion? Compassion is not merely a fleeting sense of pity or kindness, it is the profound ability to recognize suffering in others and take action to alleviate it. It is the gentle whisper of the soul that reminds us we are all interconnected. Unlike sympathy, which observes suffering from a distance, or empathy, which feels another's pain, compassion moves beyond. It compels us to extend our hands and say, I see you. I feel you. I am here for you. True compassion is unconditional. It does not judge who is worthy of kindness. It flows naturally, like a river nourishing everything in its path, without asking if the soil is deserving. Small blue diamond example, the story of the monk and the scorpion. A monk once saw a scorpion struggling in a river. Each time he reached out to save it, the scorpion stung him. A passerby asked, "Why do you continue to help when it only brings you pain?" The monk smiled and replied, "The scorpion acts according to its nature, and I act according to mine." Compassion is not about expecting gratitude or reward, it is a reflection of who we are at our deepest core. The inner light of compassion. Each of us carries within us a divine spark, a radiant light of kindness and love. Yet, in the chaos of life, this light often becomes dimmed by fear, anger, and self-interest. To cultivate compassion, we must first nurture this light within ourselves. White heavy checkmark silence and stillness. In moments of stillness, we begin to hear the silent cries of the world, the struggles of a friend, the loneliness of a stranger, the pain hidden behind a forced smile. White heavy checkmark the power of presence. Compassion is not about grand gestures. Sometimes, the greatest kindness is simply being present. A listening ear. A warm embrace. A moment of undivided attention. White heavy checkmark seeing with the eyes of love. A Zen master once said, "If you truly see with your heart, you will realize there are no strangers in this world, only brothers and sisters you have yet to meet." Compassion as a bridge to oneness. At the heart of every religion, every spiritual teaching, lies one fundamental truth: we are all one. The lines that divide us, race, religion, status, are illusions. When we strip away these labels, we find that we all long for the same things. Red heart to be loved. Red heart to be understood. Red heart to know we are not alone. Compassion dissolves these barriers. It reminds us that beyond our differences, we share a common humanity. Small blue diamond example, the woman who fed a stranger every day. There was once an elderly woman who placed a loaf of bread outside her doorstep every morning. A homeless man took it daily without ever saying thank you. One day, her son, frustrated, asked, "Why do you keep giving when he doesn't even show gratitude?" She smiled and replied, "I do not give because he is kind. I give because I am kind." Compassion does not ask for repayment. Its reward is in the act itself, the quiet knowing that we have made the world a little gentler, a little brighter. The first step to a compassionate life. If you wish to invite more compassion into your life, start with one small act today. Sparkles call someone who is lonely. Sparkles offer a kind word to a stranger. Sparkles forgive someone who has wronged you. Sparkles close your eyes, breathe deeply, and send loving thoughts to the world. Compassion is like a flame, once ignited, it spreads. Let your heart be the candle that lights the darkness. The science of compassion, how it rewires the brain and heals the body. Compassion and the brain, a neuroscientific perspective. For centuries, spiritual traditions have emphasized the transformative power of compassion. But now, modern neuroscience is unveiling what ancient sages have always known: compassion changes the brain. Brain, how compassion reshapes the brain. Scientific studies using fMRI scans reveal that practicing compassion activates the brain's reward and emotional regulation centers. This means that when you show kindness, your brain actually lights up, releasing feel-good chemicals that enhance well-being. White heavy checkmark oxytocin, the love hormone. Acts of compassion increase oxytocin levels, strengthening human connection and reducing stress. This is why a simple act of kindness, like helping a stranger, can create an instant sense of warmth. White heavy checkmark dopamine, the motivation and happiness neurotransmitter. When we practice compassion, our brain releases dopamine, making us feel uplifted and inspired. Studies show that even witnessing acts of kindness can trigger this effect, which explains why stories of generosity move us deeply. White heavy checkmark prefrontal cortex, the seat of wisdom and empathy. Long-term compassion practice strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and decision-making. This means compassionate people are naturally more patient, wise, and emotionally balanced. Small blue diamond example, the loving kindness meditation study. Researchers at Stanford University found that just 7 minutes of daily compassion meditation significantly increased feelings of love, joy, and empathy while reducing stress-related brain activity. The more people practiced, the more their brain adapted, showing that compassion is a trainable skill, not just a personality trait. How compassion heals the body. Beyond the brain, compassion has profound effects on physical health. A compassionate lifestyle doesn't just make you feel better, it makes you healthier. Stethoscope: how compassion affects the body. White heavy checkmark lowers stress and cortisol levels. When we experience compassion, the body lowers cortisol, the primary stress hormone responsible for anxiety, inflammation, and high blood pressure. White heavy checkmark boosts the immune system. Acts of kindness trigger the vagus nerve, which regulates heart rate and immune response. People who regularly practice compassion have been shown to recover faster from illness and experience lower rates of chronic disease. White heavy checkmark increases lifespan and heart health. Studies reveal that people who volunteer or help others regularly have lower risks of heart disease and live longer lives. Why? Because compassion promotes relaxation, reduces inflammation, and enhances overall well-being. Small blue diamond example, the compassionate care study in hospitals. A study found that patients receiving care from compassionate doctors healed faster and reported less pain than those treated by indifferent medical staff. This demonstrates that even simple gestures, like listening with empathy, can activate the body's healing mechanisms. The ripple effect: how compassion transforms society. Compassion is contagious. When one person acts with kindness, it sets off a chain reaction, inspiring others to do the same. This is known as the compassion ripple effect. Small blue diamond example, the pay it forward effect. A coffee shop in the US experienced a chain of 400+ customers paying for the next person's coffee, a single act of kindness igniting a wave of generosity. Compassion in leadership and business. Many believe success requires toughness, but research shows that compassionate leaders create more productive, loyal, and happy teams. White heavy checkmark companies that prioritize compassion experience. Higher employee satisfaction and retention. Increased innovation and teamwork. Stronger customer loyalty. Small blue diamond example, Google's Search Inside Yourself program. Google implemented a mindfulness and compassion training program, leading to improved employee well-being, reduced stress, and higher productivity. Practical ways to cultivate compassion daily. If compassion is scientifically proven to improve both mental and physical health, how can we cultivate it in daily life? Sparkles: the 10-second rule. Whenever you interact with someone, pause for 10 seconds and think, what is this person going through? How can I be kind to them? This simple shift in awareness instantly activates the compassion centers in your brain. Sparkles: practice loving kindness meditation, metta meditation. Take a few moments to send love and kindness to yourself, loved ones, and even strangers. 1. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. 2. Silently say, may I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be free from suffering. 3. Now, visualize someone you love and say, may they be happy. May they be healthy. May they be free from suffering. 4. Finally, extend this wish to all beings, may all beings be happy, healthy, and free from suffering. Small blue diamond example, studies show that just 5 minutes of loving kindness meditation reduces anxiety, depression, and loneliness while boosting overall happiness. Sparkles: engage in random acts of kindness. A smile, a kind word, a helping hand, small actions create massive change. Try holding the door open for someone. Giving a genuine compliment. Writing a thank you note. Sparkles: shift your perspective with the shared humanity mindset. Whenever you feel frustrated by someone, remind yourself, just like me, this person has struggles. Just like me, they seek happiness. Just like me, they are doing their best. Final thought: the science is clear, compassion is the key to a fulfilling life. Modern science is finally catching up with ancient wisdom. White heavy checkmark compassion rewires the brain. White heavy checkmark compassion heals the body. White heavy checkmark compassion transforms society. It is not just an emotion, it is a superpower. And the more we cultivate it, the more we elevate ourselves and the world around us. The spiritual dimension of compassion, how it awakens the soul. Compassion is the path to spiritual awakening. For centuries, sages, monks, and spiritual masters across cultures have emphasized compassion as the key to enlightenment. Whether in Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, or Sufism, the message is the same. The more you give, the more you receive. The more you love, the more you awaken. True spiritual growth is not measured by rituals or knowledge but by how deeply we care for others. Compassion is not merely an emotion, it is a state of being, a higher frequency that aligns us with divine wisdom. Small blue diamond example: the Dalai Lama's teachings on compassion. The Dalai Lama often says, "If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion." His Holiness attributes his profound inner peace to a lifelong dedication to metta, loving-kindness, and karuna, compassion, two essential Buddhist virtues that open the heart and purify the soul. The universal teachings of compassion in spiritual traditions. Across different spiritual traditions, compassion is the foundation of enlightenment and divine connection. Buddhism, the practice of metta and karuna. Buddhism teaches that compassion is the highest form of wisdom. Metta, loving kindness, encourages us to wish happiness upon all beings. Karuna, compassion, inspires us to actively relieve the suffering of others. Small blue diamond example: Bodhisattvas, the ultimate embodiment of compassion. Bodhisattvas, enlightened beings, vow to postpone their own nirvana until every soul is free from suffering. They dedicate lifetimes to serving others selflessly, showing that ultimate spiritual fulfillment comes from compassionate action. Christianity, the compassion of Christ. Jesus Christ is the ultimate example of selfless love. His entire ministry was centered on healing the sick, feeding the hungry, and comforting the suffering. Forgiving even those who crucified him. Teaching that the greatest commandment is to love one another. Small blue diamond example: the parable of the Good Samaritan. Jesus illustrated true compassion through the story of the Good Samaritan, a man who helped a wounded stranger when others passed him by. This parable reminds us that true spirituality is measured by our kindness, not our status or knowledge. Hinduism, seva, selfless service as a path to liberation. In Hindu philosophy, seva, selfless service, is considered one of the fastest ways to attain moksha, liberation. Serving others purifies the heart and dissolves ego-driven desires. Compassionate action aligns us with divine grace. Small blue diamond example: Mother Teresa, a life of seva. Mother Teresa, inspired by Hindu and Christian teachings, dedicated her life to caring for the poorest of the poor in India. Her selfless love and service embodied the highest spiritual ideals. Sufism and Islamic teachings on compassion. Sufi mystics teach that God's greatest attribute is Rahma, divine mercy. A hadith of the Prophet Muhammad states, "Be merciful to those on earth, and the one above will be merciful to you." Small blue diamond example: Rumi's poetry of love and compassion. Jalal al-Din Rumi, the great Sufi poet, saw compassion as the bridge to divine union. He wrote, "Be like the sun for grace and mercy. Be like the night to cover others' faults. Be like running water for generosity." The mystical power of compassion, expanding consciousness. Compassion does not just heal the heart, it expands consciousness. When we cultivate deep love for all beings, we begin to experience white heavy checkmark, a dissolution of the ego. The more we focus on others' well-being, the less we are trapped in our own worries, fears, and self-centered desires. Compassion dissolves the illusion of separation and awakens a sense of oneness with all life. White heavy checkmark, heightened intuition and spiritual insight. When we practice kindness, our inner world becomes quieter, clearer, and more receptive. Many spiritual seekers report receiving profound insights and experiencing synchronicities after acts of selfless service. White heavy checkmark connection to a higher purpose. Compassion shifts our focus from self-centered success to soul-centered fulfillment. It brings meaning, purpose, and a sense of divine alignment. Small blue diamond example: near-death experiences and compassion. Many people who have had near-death experiences, NDEs, report that the most important lesson they received was about love and compassion. They often describe a life review where they feel the emotions they caused in others, realizing that every act of kindness has a profound spiritual impact. How to cultivate compassion as a spiritual practice. If compassion is the key to spiritual awakening, how can we cultivate it intentionally? Sparkles 1. Start with yourself, self-compassion first. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Before we can fully love others, we must first show kindness to ourselves. Speak to yourself with gentleness. Forgive your past mistakes. Treat yourself with the same love you offer to a dear friend. Sparkles 2. The Compassion Meditation Practice. Keycap 1. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Keycap 2. Visualize someone you love deeply. Feel warmth in your heart. Keycap 3. Silently repeat, may you be happy. May you be free from suffering. Keycap 4. Now extend this feeling to a stranger and then even to someone you dislike. Keycap 5. End by visualizing all beings bathed in light and say, may all beings be happy and at peace. Small blue diamond example: neuroscientists have found that practicing compassion meditation for just 10 minutes daily physically strengthens the brain regions associated with empathy and emotional intelligence. Sparkles 3. Engage in daily acts of kindness. Even small gestures, a smile, a kind word, a helping hand, can elevate your vibration and bring spiritual joy. Sparkles 4. See the divine in all beings. In every person you meet, recognize the divine spark within them. This shift in perception turns ordinary interactions into sacred encounters. Final thought: compassion is the gateway to enlightenment. In the end, spirituality is not about how much we know, but how much we love. True wisdom is measured by how deeply we care for others, how selflessly we serve, and how much light we bring to the world. As Rumi beautifully said, be a lamp, a lifeboat, a ladder. Help someone's soul heal. Walk out of your house like a shepherd. Compassion is not just a virtue, it is the bridge to our highest self. And as we walk this path, we don't just transform our own lives, we elevate humanity itself. Chapter 4: Practical Ways to Live a Compassionate Life. 1. The power of small acts of kindness. Many people believe that to make a real impact, they must do something extraordinary: donate millions, start a global charity, or dedicate their entire lives to service. But in reality, small, daily acts of kindness can transform the world just as profoundly. The ripple effect of kindness. Compassion is contagious. One act of kindness can inspire another, creating a ripple effect that spreads far beyond what we can see. Small blue diamond example: paying it forward. A simple gesture, like paying for a stranger's coffee, can lead to a chain reaction of generosity. There have been real-life stories of people in drive-through lines paying for the order of the car behind them, continuing for hours, even days. One act of kindness multiplied into hundreds. White heavy checkmark ways to practice small acts of kindness daily. Smile at strangers. A warm smile can brighten someone's day. Offer sincere compliments. Words of encouragement can uplift someone struggling in silence. Hold the door open. A small act of courtesy reminds people that they are seen. Leave kind notes. A handwritten note of appreciation can mean the world to someone. 2. Practicing deep listening, the gift of presence. In a world full of distractions, true listening is an act of compassion. Most people don't need advice, they need to be heard, understood, and validated. How to practice deep listening. White heavy checkmark: be fully present. Put away your phone, stop thinking about your reply, and truly focus. White heavy checkmark: listen without judgment. Compassionate listening means accepting others without trying to fix them. White heavy checkmark: reflect back. Show you understand by paraphrasing their feelings, It sounds like you're feeling really overwhelmed right now. Small blue diamond example, Thich Nhat Hanh and deep listening. Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh taught that listening with compassion can heal suffering. He believed that when we truly listen to another person with full presence and without judgment, we help release their burdens. 3. Cultivating compassion in difficult situations. It's easy to be kind when life is going well. But true compassion is tested in difficult situations when faced with conflict, anger, or misunderstanding. How to respond with compassion instead of reactivity. White heavy checkmark, pause before reacting. Take a deep breath before responding to negativity. White heavy checkmark, see the pain behind the anger. Often, people act unkindly because they are hurting inside. White heavy checkmark, choose empathy over ego. Ask yourself, how would I feel if I were in their position? Small blue diamond example, Nelson Mandela's compassion for his captors. After spending 27 years in prison, Nelson Mandela had every reason to be bitter. But instead of seeking revenge, he chose forgiveness and reconciliation, uniting a divided nation through compassion. For extending compassion beyond people, to animals and nature. Compassion should not be limited to humans. All living beings deserve kindness. How to show compassion for animals. White heavy checkmark, adopt, don't shop. Give rescue animals a loving home instead of supporting commercial breeding. White heavy checkmark, support ethical products. Choose cruelty-free and sustainable brands. White heavy checkmark, treat animals with kindness. Even simple acts, like feeding a stray or giving water to birds, make a difference. Small blue diamond example, Saint Francis of Assisi, the patron saint of animals. Saint Francis believed all creatures were sacred and often preached to birds, showing that kindness should extend to all living beings. 5. The role of self-compassion, being kind to yourself. Compassion is not just about giving to others. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Self-compassion is the foundation of mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Ways to practice self-compassion. White heavy checkmark, talk to yourself as you would a friend. Replace self-criticism with words of encouragement. White heavy checkmark, forgive yourself for past mistakes. Growth comes from learning, not from guilt. White heavy checkmark, prioritize self-care. Taking care of yourself is not selfish, it allows you to help others more effectively. Small blue diamond example, the Buddhist concept of matri, loving kindness toward oneself. Buddhist teachings emphasize that before we can love others deeply, we must first love ourselves. This means treating ourselves with gent. 4.6 Creating a compassionate community. No one can change the world alone. Building a compassionate community strengthens kindness and collective healing. How to cultivate a compassionate community. White heavy checkmark, engage in volunteer work. Find local shelters, food banks, or community projects. White heavy checkmark, start a kindness movement. Organize initiatives that encourage acts of compassion. White heavy checkmark, surround yourself with people who inspire kindness. The energy of those around us influences our mindset and actions. Small blue diamond example, the Random Acts of Kindness movement. This global initiative encourages people to perform selfless acts with no expectation of reward, proving that kindness can be a movement that transforms lives. Final thought, compassion is a daily practice, not a one-time act. Living a compassionate life does not require grand gestures, it requires consistency. Every day, we are given opportunities to choose kindness, to listen deeply, to uplift others, and to extend love to all beings. Sparkles, the more compassion we give, the more we receive. The more love we spread, the more the world transforms. Sparkles. Chapter 5, The Science Behind Compassion and Its Healing Power. 5.1 How Compassion Changes the Brain. Modern neuroscience has revealed that compassion is not just an abstract virtue, it is a transformative force that reshapes the brain. The neurology of compassion. Small blue diamond, when we practice compassion, our brain releases oxytocin, the love hormone, which enhances trust, social bonding, and emotional resilience. Small blue diamond, the sympathetic nervous system, responsible for fight or flight responses, is deactivated, while the parasympathetic nervous system, associated with relaxation and restoration, is activated, leading to a profound sense of calm and connection. Small blue diamond studies using MRI scans show that practicing compassion increases activity in the prefrontal cortex, the brain region responsible for decision-making, empathy, and emotional regulation. White heavy checkmark example: a Stanford University study found that just 7 minutes of practicing compassion daily can significantly boost emotional intelligence and reduce stress responses. 5.2 The link between compassion and physical health. Compassion is not only beneficial for emotional well-being, it has profound effects on physical health, promoting longevity and vitality. Health benefits of compassion. White heavy checkmark lowers blood pressure. Research suggests that compassionate individuals tend to have lower blood pressure and reduced risk of cardiovascular disease. White heavy checkmark boosts the immune system. Those who practice kindness and compassion have lower levels of inflammatory markers and higher resistance to illness. White heavy checkmark improves sleep quality. Acts of kindness trigger the release of serotonin and melatonin, improving sleep patterns and promoting deep relaxation. Small blue diamond example: a study conducted at Emory University found that physicians who practice compassion regularly report lower levels of stress-related illnesses and burnout, leading to a healthier and more fulfilling life. 5.3 How compassion reduces stress and anxiety. One of the most profound benefits of compassion is its ability to lower stress and anxiety by calming the nervous system. The cortisol-lowering effect. Chronic stress increases levels of cortisol, the hormone linked to anxiety, depression, and weakened immune function. Lightbulb: but here's the fascinating part: practicing compassion reduces cortisol levels, while increasing oxytocin and dopamine, which are associated with happiness and emotional stability. White heavy checkmark example: a study from the University of Wisconsin-Madison found that volunteering at least once a week leads to 23% lower cortisol levels, making individuals feel more at peace and less reactive to daily stressors. 5.4 The role of compassion in emotional healing. Compassion serves as a powerful tool for emotional healing, especially for individuals dealing with past trauma, grief, or emotional distress. Why compassion heals emotional wounds. Small blue diamond self-compassion breaks the cycle of self-criticism. By practicing self-kindness instead of self-judgment, individuals experience greater emotional resilience. Small blue diamond compassion reduces depression and anxiety. Research shows that people who practice compassion-focused therapy, CFT, recover from depression 40% faster than those who focus solely on cognitive-based approaches. White heavy checkmark example: a UCLA study found that loving-kindness meditation not only reduces symptoms of PTSD but also fosters a sense of emotional safety and social connection. 5.5 Compassion and longevity: living a longer, happier life. How compassion extends lifespan. White heavy checkmark reduces heart disease risk. Compassionate individuals have healthier cardiovascular systems due to lower stress and stronger social connections. White heavy checkmark increases longevity. Harvard University research found that people over 50 who practice gratitude and compassion live an average of 9 years longer than those who exhibit selfish or hostile behaviors. Small blue diamond example: studies on centenarians in blue zones, regions with the highest life expectancy, reveal that their common traits include a deep sense of compassion, purpose, and community involvement. Final thought: the science is clear, compassion is a superpower. Sparkle's compassion is not just an ethical ideal, it is a scientifically proven path to happiness, health, and longevity. Right arrow: are you ready to embrace compassion and transform your life?